Hi, this is Frank from Altcoin Buzz. Today I'm very excited to go over a project that I've spent the last couple of days researching, which is the Quant Network and the Overledger operating system. I hope to get you as excited about it as I am, explain it to you in simple terms you can understand, and inspire you to learn more about Quant hereafter. Please note that this is not financial advice. However, if you enjoy in-depth project reviews like this and want to see more similar content, don't forget to smash that like and subscribe button down below. In this video, we discuss why enterprise adoption of blockchains is so important, and be sure to also stick around until the end of the video where I discuss some juicy price predictions. If the Quant Network could be summarized in one word, it would be interoperability. The website expands this to three words, which are connectivity, accessibility, and trust. It aims to connect countless types of people, enterprises, blockchains, and institutions by offering them easily accessible services and products from a wide range of sources using technology which they can trust. Quant has built the world's first operating system which interconnects blockchains, but very importantly, also connects legacy networks to blockchains. If Quant can be summed up with the words interoperability, connectivity, accessibility, and trust, simplicity would have to be the fifth word. Simplicity is another major advantage of the Overledger, which cannot be understated. While many other projects require enterprises to invest time and resources to use their blockchains, Quant creates a network on top of blockchains which is incredibly easy to use. Game-changing applications which would otherwise have taken 8 months to build can be built within just 8 minutes with just 3 lines of code. You may be wondering, what makes the project so valuable if it can be used with just 3 lines of code? The answer is simple. It requires 3 lines of code for enterprises to use on the front end, but the real magic behind Overledger is everything they have created in the back end. During my research, I came across a source saying that they had 300 enterprise-level partners, which I found a little suspicious. However, the very quick-to-reply and helpful Quant Telegram community confirmed that they are indeed involved with over 300 organizations. While many projects are quick to name these as partnerships, it's probably more accurate to think of most of these as collaborations, as it's virtually impossible to genuinely partner up with 300 organizations. Something you may not be aware of is that we may never know all the partnerships which Quant Network have. As the CEO Gilbert Verdian explained in an interview with Blockchain Brad, many enterprises do not want to announce their partnerships to the public because it may lead to competitors to seeking out similar partnerships, thus eroding the competitive advantage, meaning that there are likely many partners who have asked not to be named. The most important partnership which was announced publicly was the partnership with Sia blockchain. According to Sia.eu, the partnership was announced on 5th of June and led to the largest price rally that Quant Network experienced since its inception. Have a look at the date on this press release, 5th of June. Now have a look at this chart on CoinGecko. We see the price went from $2.55 to $13.43 at its peak, more than a 500% rally, reflecting the importance of this partnership. So, why is this partnership or collaboration such a big deal? According to a Medium blog by CryptoSec, who is one of the most informed community members of the Quant Network, this partnership was a game changer for mass blockchain adoption. Sia is the European leader in the design, creation, and management of technology infrastructures and services for no less than 570 financial institutions, central banks, and corporates in over 50 countries. Altcoin Buzz represents a large team of writers, researchers, crypto enthusiasts, and video producers such as myself, most of whom read about, review, and present altcoin news on a daily basis. The Quant Network was no exception when it made our list of top altcoins related to smart contracts and interoperability back in July 2019. We talked about how Quant promised to enable mass enterprise adoption, a promise which they have been in the process of fulfilling with their 300 aforementioned collaborations with registered organizations, many of which are enterprise level. We talked about how Quant has introduced the concept of treaty contracts, which, unlike smart contracts, are not restricted to single blockchains, but in fact enable cross-blockchain communication. Although Quant has recently announced collaborations with important clients, even back in July 2019 they were growing their operations aggressively to meet client demand. We mentioned 2 notable products of the Quant Network which are proving their use cases as we speak today, namely GoVerify and Atlas. GoVerify serves to verify that any email, SMS, or phone call is legitimate, and Atlas enables cross-border open banking. As much as you crypto enthusiasts out there may not like banks, and I have to admit I am one of those crypto enthusiasts, it's undeniable that banks are some of the most powerful and well-funded organizations in the world. As has been evidenced with Ripple, any solution which solves problems for banks can have massive potential. Now, onto the team. It is not companies that make products, it is people. That's why for me, the qualifications and commitments of the team are some of the most important considerations when deciding to invest in a project. I was a little disappointed to find out that the team members are not listed on the official website. The 21 results of employees on LinkedIn also leaves a lot to be desired, as many of these profiles are inaccessible to the public or do not even display Quant in their job profile description. Nonetheless, the CEO, Gilbert Verdian, certainly has a strong resume to his name. One thing I found reassuring is that he has been the CEO of Quant for almost 5 years, which shows he has been committed to this project for quite some time. He is an EU Blockchain Observatory and Forum member at the European Commission. He is the chair of DLT1 and the UK Standardization Delegation, which shows that he has been and still is active in the blockchain space at important institutions. His past experience includes working at the Federal Reserve System, although his role was unclear. He worked at the Bank of England. He was Chief Information Security Officer for a MasterCard company as well as eHealth. Furthermore, he had a short stint as a director at PricewaterhouseCoopers, worked in security projects at HSBC, and was a senior manager and consultant with Ernst & Young. Certainly an impressive resume. Next, we have Sia Partnership, who's Chief Operating Officer at Quant Network. She's held this position for 10 months, but she's been with the team for 2 years and 1 month. She and the Head of Financial Services are two of the only team members who I found to be with the team for more than 10 months. Meaning that Gilbert Verdian was probably the head and main man behind the project for most of its history. Sia Partnership has worked at Deloitte for 3 years and 7 months, and then a number of other pharmaceutical companies in the past. Next we have Gagik Verdian. I hope I'm pronouncing this correctly. He's the COO of Americas at Quant and has been so for 10 months. Previously, he was president and CEO of Advanced Computer Care for 23 years, which is a hell of a long time, and Protego Security for 9 years and 9 months. Next, we have the Chief Technology Officer at Quant, who, as I learned in an interview, was the man responsible for solving a complex problem which they thought would take 5 years to solve, but somehow managed to solve it over a weekend. He is working full-time at Quant and has been doing so for 8 months. Previously, he was the founder and director of Bear Essential Computer Services, senior developer, director of IT, and several other additional experiences as an analyst and developer. Next, we have Toby Box, who is the head of financial services at Quant Network. He has been the head of financial services for 1 year and 7 months. Previously, he was a director, delivery program director. I don't personally recognize these names. He was at NatWest Markets. So certainly has some history. Through the Telegram chat, I found out that they hired several freelancers, so that may explain why we're not seeing them represented in the Quant network. However, hopefully the Quant team will make a point of making themselves known on their official website in future. Now, let's talk about the use case and utility of QNT tokens. This is the diagram which best summarizes the use case for Overledger. While most enterprise interoperability solutions target just permissioned centralized blockchains, Overledger creates a network between enterprise permissioned blockchains, public decentralized permissionless blockchains, and existing networks. Connecting existing networks is huge because it means that Overledger is not limited to just crypto-to-crypto use cases. In addition, although Overledger is centralized in that only they have access to their backend and have a patented technology, they nevertheless enable developers to create maps, otherwise known as multi-chain applications, connecting decentralized permissionless blockchains. In this sense, they are using a centralized technology to help spread the use of decentralized technology. The maps which Quant talk of stand for multi-chain or multi-protocol applications. This means that developers can use Overledger to create applications that, for example, leverage the security of Bitcoin and the smart contract capabilities of Ethereum. We've talked about how Quant is interoperable and simple to use. Like pretty much all crypto projects, they claim to be stable and secure. The difference here is that we have to trust them because their back-end code is proprietary, meaning that no one but them can prove that it is stable and secure until the technology is used on a mass scale by external parties. Similar to Bitcoin. Bitcoin has stood the test of time, and new crypto projects will also have to stand the test of time. The difference with Bitcoin, of course, is that all the code is open source. They further claim that it is fast and scalable. The future-proof aspect is important as blockchains and tech is constantly changing, so it's paramount that the Overledger system is still compatible. In our Quant article titled The Connectivity Backbone of Blockchains, Deepika explained that if the internet could overcome the problem of diversity and work as a single strong network, so can blockchains. In other words, the internet currently displays a wide range of media and enables multiple applications to run on it. In a similar way, we need one system which can easily access and make use of multiple blockchains and blockchain applications. One of the unique selling points of Quant compared to its competitors is that instead of creating a separate blockchain to solve the problem of interoperability, they have created an operating system which runs on top of blockchains. This is what makes the Overledger network so exciting. The enterprises do not want to spend the money, time, or exercise the effort needed to run a node on a new blockchain in order to access multiple other blockchains. The Overledger creates an easy and realistic way for them to easily and quickly access multiple blockchains and Internet of Things applications with one operating system. Think of Overledger like the App Store or the Play Store for multiple blockchains and/or multiple existing types of institutional infrastructure. It has the potential to connect and make use of almost any digital system you can think of, and it's not limited to blockchains. So how does one trust Overledger? We talked about how they have developed a map called GoVerify, which verifies documents containing text. In a similar way, they have developed and patented TrustTag, which is a technology which assigns digital fingerprints to physical goods such as pharmaceutical or designer products and intellectual property. According to CryptoSec's TrustTag article, TrustTag enables data to be signed at source to provide the most secure and trusted method where you don't have to trust third-party oracles with data or requests. Now, let's discuss what is likely the most important question to ask when considering getting involved in any crypto project, which is, why do we need this token? What can it do? Who is going to use it? What suggests that it might be useful or valuable? Firstly, the QNT tokens do not need to be purchased by enterprises in order to use the Overledger network. However, QNT tokens are needed to use the Overledger network. So, how does it work? What happens is that when enterprises want to use the Overledger network, the treasury of the Quant network use that fiat to purchase these tokens in order to enable the enterprises to use the network in a frictionless fashion. Right, now that we have that out the way, let's discuss the 4 economic utilities of the QNT token. Number 1, a license must be purchased for anyone wanting to develop on the Overledger platform. This requires tokens to be locked up for 12 months. Secondly, Overledger read and write activity performed by developers also requires QNT tokens. Thirdly, there is an annual cost for running gateways. It was originally meant to be 500 QNT, as is stated here, but I was informed that new details regarding the exact numbers will be revealed closer to the launch of the Overledger network. Note that the Overledger is already live and running. What is yet to be launched is the Overledger network. That's what a lot of the current hype about Quant revolves around. Feel free to freeze this screen in order to find out more. The final use case concerns minimum holding amounts. Similar to the licensing fee for developers, every participant of the Overledger ecosystem will be required to hold a minimum amount of QNT. A white paper search for the words QNT, utility, and tokens provide no information on the utility of the tokens, so we only have to go on what the community members are telling us. And of course, what we learn in the AMAs with Gilbert Verdian himself. Token economics also play an important role in determining the value of a token. The QNT tokens were split in the following way at the time of the ICO. 9.9 million were sold to the public during the ICO, 2.6 million were assigned to the company reserve, in other words, everything required to keep the company running, 1.3 million were given to the company founders, and 651,000 were for the company advisors. Note that this article was written in April 2019. A more recent update from the blockchain reveals that just over 2 million tokens are held by the company. These 2 million are unlocked, which means they could be sold at any time. However, the good news about Qnt's tokenomics is that the supply is fixed at 14.6 million. This means that there is no Qnt inflation. This information is further confirmed on CoinGecko, where you can see that, similar to Bitcoin, the current Quant price would have to double in order to reach its all-time high. Here you can also see how the 3 million Bitcoin which have yet to be mined creates its inflation. In theory, as and when Qnt tokens are sold by the company and founders, they will also add selling pressure to the token. It is of course entirely at their own discretion to decide when to sell the tokens, but the same can be said for virtually every crypto project. Since Gilbert Verdian is such a key figure in Qnt, and because Blockchain Brad is so good at getting answers from crypto project founders, I thought it only appropriate to add this segment from their interview.
But the vision, what essentially is the vision though with regard to the devs, the enterprise? Clearly they're different components. The devs going to do, what's their overall plan?
So we're allowing, as we said, enterprise to adopt blockchain technology at scale, and that's quite key. But we're also giving our developers and the community the same opportunity, and so they can create the next generation multi-chain application that will take on the world, and we want them to do it. We want developers, to come up with new applications that are cross-sector, that are for consumers, for enterprise, for business, whatever it is, and they can publish that, and they can actually create these, the next WhatsApp, the next Telegram, the next Facebook, whatever they do. Yeah.
And Gil, why would they do that, mate? Why would they do that? Are they incentivized to do that? Because fundamentally, we hear the narrative for open source, open protocols. You're a little different. You are proprietary. You are for profit. So how does the dev benefit by utilizing your system?
Yeah, so we give them technology that you can't have anywhere. Really having access to all the different blockchains gives you a new market, because if you develop a dApp on Ethereum, only Ethereum users can use it. And so you're limiting yourself to particular networks. And so what we're doing is we're kind of democratizing that, allowing any application to work across any network across the internet, pretty much. So this is the beauty of multi-chain applications. You can serve them to the whole internet community, and you've got billions of users, straight away. And so what we're doing is giving developers the features and the technology to create a new generation of application that takes all the features of different blockchains, combines them, and allows you to do something that was just never possible.
Sure.
And so we've demonstrated quite a few things of what's possible, and we really like that because it helps inspire people. And so we've created, the decentralized Amazon, we've created the decentralized search, we've put the World Wide Web on blockchain. We've done all these things that are pretty much impossible a couple of years ago, but through the technology that we've built, it's there.
As to the competition, CryptoSlate published a list of 27 potential competitors to Quant, all working on facilitating interoperability between one another. If you're a huge fan of Quant, I strongly suggest you do at least some basic research on some of these other coins to help give you perspective. It could strengthen your arguments for Quant while simultaneously making you aware of ways in which other projects are solving problems which Quant aren't or haven't yet. One of the things that makes Quant so exciting for me personally is that it has the potential to become a top 10 coin. This is because Ripple, who are in third place, are already doing something similar to Quant. Let's examine this side-by-side comparison which Deepika wrote up between Overledger and the Ripple Interledger protocol. In terms of transfer, Overledger transfers both data and value, whereas the ILP by Ripple transfers only value. In terms of interoperability, as we've seen, Overledger tackles the problem of connecting permissioned, permissionless, and all the important legacy systems, whereas the ILP is a bridge between cryptocurrency and fiat, or between two individual cryptocurrencies. The Overledger is capable of talking to centralized systems, whereas the ILP is limited to atomic swaps. In terms of implementation, maps can run across any decentralized ledger technology with a simple plug-and-play setup with just 3 lines of code, whereas Ripple requires a custom connector. XRP is an independent virtual currency that can power the Ripple's network, whereas QNT is required to pay transaction fees, licensing, and network fees using the Overledger Network. Developers can build apps on Quant, whereas this type of development is not possible on ILP. Finally, as we learned, Quant has partnered with 300 registered organizations, many of which are enterprise level, including Sia, whereas it took Ripple 5 years to partner with over 200 banks. I thought it would be interesting to ask the Quant community what excites them most about Quant. The comments largely cover issues we've already gone over in so many words, so I won't read them all out, but feel free to do so yourself. The message from the person in the top left concerns the fact that a lot of the team resigned last year and that QNT was not listed on a Tier 1 exchange. While we may never know the truth as to why several team members resigned, employee turnover is a natural part of business. We've also had people come and go at Altcoin Buzz, but that doesn't mean that we've become weaker as a brand. Still, it can be a cause for concern when many key players choose to leave an organization. This next segment will briefly cover the question of exchange listings. This Reddit post, which was published in January 2020 by the CEO Gilbert Verdian, talks of 4 goals, the main one being to get on a regulated and reputable Tier 1 exchange. Note, however, that they are already on Bittrex, which has a solid reputation in the industry as far as exchanges go. Furthermore, they hope to be listed on 3 Tier 1 or Tier 2 exchanges to serve users in different continents. According to CoinGecko, FatBTC and Hotbit have the most volume for QNT. However, the Quant introduction post on Reddit here recommends avoiding Hotbit and FatBTC and recommends Bittrex, IDEX, Kyber, Nash, and CoinMetro instead. Finally, let's do a short analysis on the QNT weekly chart. So again, each one of these candles represents a whole week. The first thing which stands out is this previous resistance turned into support. So in this blue line that I'm dragging over here, you can see that we had some resistance over here. We came down, we found support. We had several candle closes at this level over here, and over here. And then when we came back up to this level, we again found resistance, and then finally we broke through it. So it seems like an interesting pivot point. And it suggests that if we come back down to this line, we will likely see some sort of price action and potential support. Next, we can see this descending wedge, which formed for many, many weeks and from which we broke out bullish, which is of course what you would expect from a descending wedge. And next, in terms of potential resistance, we can see we have 2 weekly closes over here at 8.57. So we may expect some resistance coming up there. And if we do a 1-to-1 extension of this move, and what that means is that it's a measured move. We assume that if this leg went up by this much, then this leg will go up by the same amount. And the tool that we use for that is this trend-based fib extension. We go from the bottom of this trend leg to the top of this trend leg, and then add a measured move from this to the 1-to-1 extension. In other words, copying the previous move. This is just an assumption. There are, of course, many ways to determine where potential resistance would be, but just as a guideline, we might see some resistance coming up between 8.63, and finally, because there are long wicks here, there's obviously a lot of volatility with this coin. We should expect that there's a good chance that we will have long wicks coming up, breaking through the resistance and possibly coming down again. Next, let's have a look at the RSI and the MACD. So the RSI is looking pretty healthy. We have a high, higher low, higher high. The MACD as well, we've had a bullish crossover and it seems to be ticking up nicely here. The volume leaves a lot to be desired. So over the past several weeks, we haven't had volume going above the 21 moving average. We would really want to see that happen in order to confirm that we are now entering a new uptrend. In summary, QNT is showing strong signs that it is reversing its previous bearish trend due to the powerful move it has made since its low 3 months ago. The hype surrounding the launch of the Overledger Network enhancements will likely have a key role to play in terms of moving the price up. That, along with the new exchange listings which the team are working on this year, could bring in the volume needed to give credence to the price moves. One thing which is very exciting about this chart is these moving averages. Look at these colors and how they're separating from each other. Now, what does this mean? These are exponential moving averages, which means that they take the average of the previous price period, but they have a focus on the more recent prices. So as you can see here, this pink is the 10 moving average, the orange is the 21 moving average, the yellow is the 50 moving average, the green is the 100, and the blue is the 200. And note how the 10 is over the 21, 21 over the 50, 50 over the 100, and the 100 is over the 200. What this means is that there's not only short, but also medium-term bullish momentum. A fanning out of these lines, which is what it's called when you see the lines separate from each other, suggests that there is a bullish momentum to the upside. So what this suggests is that we have a very good chance of either reaching the previous highs or even seeing new highs at some point. Let's do an Elliott wave analysis to see where we might reach. So we will take our Elliott wave here. We will assume this is the first wave. This is the correction of the first wave to the second. And then the third, we're going to find out where that might hit. And then the fourth, we're also going to determine where it might, and the fifth as well. So for now, we're just putting these in random places. Okay. And now what we're going to do is we're going to take our fib-based extension. We're going to get it from the first wave down to the second wave. And the third wave is quite commonly 1.1618 extension of the first wave. The third wave is always the longest wave and never the shortest wave. What we can see here is that we would reach this 1618, and then that would put the third wave approximately here. Now, of course, this is all conjecture and speculation. You know, it really depends on how the price action goes up until then, but this is a possibility of what might happen in terms of Elliott wave theory. Then the fourth wave should never go below the first wave. And if we just expect that we might see some potential support, you know, if this acts as resistance and we grind along a little bit, actually this would be more like this then. If we grind along this resistance, and then finish the third wave up there, when we come back down, this would act as support and create the fourth wave. And then the fifth wave would be, of course, further up there. Okay, so we have a potential third wave, which is at the 1.618 fib extension of the first wave. Next, let's see where the fifth wave might go. So we take our trend-based fib extension, we take the first wave, and we extrapolate that to the fifth wave. So the fifth wave starts at 4 over here and goes up to 5. So we extrapolate it from there, and the fifth wave can often be all the way up to the 1.217. Of course, with altcoins, you know, because it's very volatile and they have extreme moves, it could very easily reach this level as well. So although this is a potential initial resistance, it's entirely possible that we come up to the $17.65 level. And let's just draw a box over here. So between the 1217 and the 1618. So we have our fifth wave somewhere within this region. And of course, the other bullish thing is that we have no liquidity in this area. So what that means is that there's no resistance. You see how here we have these yellow and blue bars? This represents the VPVR, or in other words, the liquidity that we have in this price range. However, once we cross this price range, then there's no liquidity here, meaning that there's very little in the terms of resistance to push us down, which could mean that we could have a huge move up potentially. So it's very exciting. And certainly with the Overledger Network coming in and with other bullish news, especially if we get on new exchanges, this is definitely has some real potential to get to these previous highs. And of course, note that the previous high might act as some sort of resistance as well, which is in alignment with the Elliott wave analysis. Let me know down in the comments below if you've done any TA on this coin or if you've seen any price predictions. I'd love to check them out. In conclusion, let's go over the strengths and opportunities as well as the weaknesses and threats for the Quant Network. In terms of strength and opportunities, the founder has extensive experience and a great network of contacts. There are many existing collaborations, many of which are at enterprise level. They have a big vision. If they succeed in acquiring mass adoption, it would be absolutely huge. Next, there's the focus on enterprise. All they need is one enterprise to make one app which is successful in order to significantly increase the value of the QNT tokens, because enterprises attract a large number of employees and potential users. The fact that they created an operating system which is very easy for enterprises to start using, instead of obliging enterprises to take the risk, time, and effort to use new blockchains designed to connect with existing blockchains, is certainly a strength. They have great tokenomics. The lack of inflation is great for existing token holders. The tokens allocated to the team and company do not represent a large percentage of the circulating supply. Next, there have been several highly competent and highly experienced people who have been hired recently, including Martin Hargreaves, who was formerly Vice President of Product at Vocalink, which was acquired by MasterCard for $1 billion. In terms of technical analysis, we can see that the new uptrend has started on the weekly chart, which suggests a trend reversal is taking place. However, we would ideally like to see some solid volume coming in to give credence to this move. In terms of weaknesses and threats, the fact that they have a centralized technology puts us in the dark. The Overledger needs to be stress tested through application development and usage in order to prove its capabilities. They will have to stay ahead of the many competitors also attempting to acquire enterprise adoption. One would hope to see the key team members present themselves as such on the Quant Network website, as almost all other projects do. The fact that enterprises demand NDAs and secrecy in terms of their business dealings means that the public will always be in the dark as to exactly which enterprises are collaborating with the Quant Network and what they have achieved so far in terms of application usage. Still, we have received information about, for example, Sia, which is a very important enterprise. Finally, Bittrex is the only major exchange which they are currently listed on. However, this also presents an opportunity for new liquidity once they get listed on new exchanges. Okay guys, that's it from me. This has been a 3-day project for me, getting very intimately acquainted with the project. Please let me know what you think down in the comments below. Which sections did you like? Which sections do you think could be improved on? Which new projects would you like us to review in this similar fashion? Let me know in the comments down below. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you like this video, and see you in the next one.